So welcome to the Information Challenge Summer Camp 2022 info session. We are from the University of Maryland, and we are the camp directors. I'm Kathy Weaver.
I'm Donal Heidenblad.
And we're faculty members in the College of Information Studies at the University of Maryland. And we would like to welcome you and give you some information about the summer camp that we're hosting this summer. There's going to be 2 summer camps, and we'll talk in details about both of those. So first of all, what is an info challenge? Well, it's an opportunity for students to explore a data set to solve a real world problem. Students get a lot of opportunities to work through problems in their classes, but not necessarily have an organization give them a problem that they really need to solve. And this is what the info challenge is all about, is working with organizations that have actual problems they need to solve through data analysis. They get to learn and practice analytical skills and tools. We'll talk in detail about what that means, but basically it gives the students an opportunity to learn about doing analysis, but we also present with them tools like Tableau and some other really cool tools to do data analysis. And then the projects at the end of the week are reviewed by professional data analysts. So we have a panel of judges, we call them, and they come in and they are professional data analysts. They might be faculty, they might be people work in the government, they might be people work in industry, and they understand how analysis projects work. And so they do a review with the students to ask them questions about how did it go and tell us more, and then the students get to present to them. So the UMD Info Challenge Summer Camp is an actual 5-day camp, and it's going to be hosted. The first week will be, and again, I'll go in more detail, but there's be 2 weeks. First week will be at UMD, second week will be virtual, and both will be starting at 10 a.m. and ending at 5 p.m. And you all will get an opportunity again to explore a couple different data sets that we're going to go over, show you what they're going to look like. This is open to students in any discipline. We have hosted info challenges on campus for the higher institutions, and we've had people that were music majors that came to do data analysis. So anybody can come. We don't expect you to have extended knowledge about how to do data analysis, and we don't expect you to come in knowing how to do any programming. That's not what this is about. This is understanding how to do analysis on, again, a real world data set. You're going to work in teams. Oops, go back one. There you go. You're going to work in teams of 4 students, and we will actually assign the team. So you don't have to find other people to come with you to sign up. You're going to sign up and we will assign teams. We ran one camp last year and we assigned the teams, and it worked out really great. We tried to figure out, make sure that the teams had people in each team that were strong with analysis already, or writing, or visualization, and we put the teams together that way, and it worked out great. The environment is supportive and low pressure, and what we do is we actually give you a mentor for the week. It's one of the current iSchool students. iSchool is the College of Information Studies. It's our nickname, the iSchool, and they will be working with the teams the entire week to figure out how you want to solve the problem. So you'll have your assigned mentor. The mentors are going to be mentoring 2 or 3 teams, so they won't be on top of the teams the entire time. They'll just be giving support. So again, there's no data analysis experience necessary to join the camp. We had people last year that had never done any type of analysis, and we're really excited to learn about how they can do analysis in real world situations. All right, so we want to invite rising 11th and 12th graders because we want to have you have the opportunity to have a little bit of skills in some of the stronger mathematics that you would get in 11th and 12th, or I'm sorry, 9th and 10th grade. So the rising 11th and 12th graders are who we're marketing to right now and who we're inviting. So here's the 2 different camps. So the first camp is July 18th through 22nd, and that's going to be on the University of Maryland campus. There'll be more details given to you when, after you fill out your forms to apply, to let you know where on campus, but it's the campus in College Park. And the students that are invited to come to this one are students in Anne Arundel County, Howard County, Montgomery County, and Prince George's County. The students that are invited to the following week, which is a virtual camp, are students in Allegheny, Calvert, Garrett, and Somerset counties. So we understand that that it's not going to be as ideal to be virtual. We've all in the last couple of years learned how to function in a virtual world, but it isn't quite as good. So we've made arrangements with the Allegheny, Calvert, Garrett, and Somerset libraries to have a place for people to sit. So there, if you don't have a computer, if you don't have Wi-Fi, you can actually come to the libraries and use their computers and their Wi-Fi. And even if you do, we'd like to encourage you to come to the library for every day, because we're going to have food delivered to the libraries for lunches, and we're going to have some activities that would be great for you guys to have interacting with each other. So again, when you apply, we will be giving you information about which libraries and how to get there, and information like that if you're going to be part of the virtual group. All right, let me take 1 second. If you have any questions, feel free to click on the Q&A button at the bottom, and the questions will pop up for us to see. I'm not sure everybody can see them, but we will look at them and we will answer them as needed, and feel free to pop in questions at any point. So I want to go through a little bit about what we're going to do each of the 5 days. So the first day, what we're going to do is we're going to explore, and then we're going to choose the data sets. So we're going to introduce the data sets to you all, and then we're going to let the student teams choose which data set they want to work on during the week. And this summer, we're offering 2 different data sets, which again, Professor Heidenblad will go through in a few minutes. So initially, you're going to be meeting the team members and your iSchool mentors, the student mentors. We're going to have the data set providers. So in other words, the organizations that are giving us the data sets are going to come and talk to us about why they're giving the data set, what they want to get out of it, and how that's going to benefit their organization. So you really have a good understanding of what's going to happen during the week and why what you're doing is really important. And these 2 organizations that have given us the data sets actually want answers. It's not like they're just giving us information for you guys to go through. They need to know these answers. They need to know a new perspective on some of this data that they have. So again, you're going to choose a data set as your team, and you're going to go through a lesson on how to understand the problem statement. And we talk through, here's the problem statement, here's what the organization said in their talk, here's what they wrote down for you, and here's how you interpret that. So you kind of get started and figure out how to do that. Then every day, we're going to have some sort of activity. So the activity that we're going to do on the first day is we're going to go tour the University of Maryland Library, one of them, and the printing center. So you can see how easy it is if you need to print something out for one of your classes. So if you are doing the virtual tour, what we're going to do is we're going to record the tours that we're going to be doing in the in-person, so you can actually see the tours also. So you can kind of get the experience of being there without actually being there. So I'm going to let Professor Heidenblad talk through the data sets. So because he's the one that kind of helped collect them and knows more about how they're going to be taught. He's going to be doing that part of it.
Yeah, so we're going to have 2 data sets for this event. As Dr. Weaver said, they're both real world data sets. So the first was collected by a veterinarian, and is a veterinarian test on dogs. And based on various tests for specific, we'll see in the data. And then the other one is scooter data. So the UMD campus has e-scooters that are available for rent. And it's part of the campus's sustainable transportation plan. So there's a lot of emphasis on understanding that data and trying to see, are the scooters in the right place? Are they being used? And that type of thing. So let me see if I can, exit that and actually find the data sets. There we are. So you probably, can you see that screen?
Not really. Can you enlarge it slightly?
So where is the zoom button?
There, that looks
Yeah.
great.
So with the veterinarian data set, we have a good number of data points. Can't remember exactly how many, but a really good number of them. And that information includes the breed of the dog that was tested, the weight of the dog that was tested, the zip code, so where the dog was from, anaplasmosis, Lyme, and Ehrlichia and heartworm tests, and whether those tests were positive or negative, so that we can try to see various relationships between zip code or the weight of the dog or the breed of the dog and these 4 particular tests. And we can also look for other data that might help explain the information that we find here. So if there's a relationship about the zip code and the date, then we might be curious about the overall weather, although I think that a lot of these tests are from a similar period of time, but we'll talk about different sources of data that we could combine and different patterns that we could look for in the data, and then how to talk about that data and make decisions based on that data or suggestions based on that data. The other data set is from, oops, that's not the right tab. Is from the UMD Department of Transportation. And this is a little bit more advanced of a data set. But what we have here are the start.
Can you enlarge that slightly again?
What?
Can you enlarge that slightly? Yeah.
I don't know if we're going to be able to see things, but sure. So we have the start and end time for a specific trip on a scooter, a path with the GPS coordinates for that trip, the type of vehicle, which should not have e-bikes in it, but apparently it does. There should be e-scooters in here. A unique ID for the customer, the distance that was traveled, and then some additional data like how long did the trip last, where did it start, and where did it end. And so we can take this data and we can start looking at, are there specific times of day that people are traveling? Are they starting, where are they starting at that point in time, right? So if they're starting in the mornings closer to the dorms or closer to apartments and ending closer to where classes are, right? We can start making some determinations about this. We can also look at the path data and see, are people behaving themselves and riding on the streets because they're a transportation vehicle, or are they taking shortcuts and riding on the sidewalks, right? So lots of information that we can pull out of this data set to make recommendations to the Department of Transportation on campus and maybe make an actual impact on the University of Maryland community. So let me see if I can start.
Great. While he's pulling that back up again into the presentation, so when the data set providers are going to come and talk to us, like the vet, Dr. Stubb is going to come and tell us, what do those 4 tests mean? What is Ehrlichia? And how would a dog get it? And why is it important to know that dog has it? So those are the kinds of things that the vet will be talking about. And like Professor Heidenblad said, there's things you might want to look at, like the zip code. Is it more prominent in a specific zip code? And because we all know what Lyme is, and Ehrlichia is actually another tick-borne disease, is there a specific zip code that has a ton of dogs that have Lyme in it? And if that's the case, then maybe that the dogs that live in that area need to be extra protected from ticks. Then one of our representatives from the University of Maryland Department of Transportation is going to come in, and he's going to talk the same thing. He's going to say, here's why it's important that we know where these are started and where they're ending, because it might be that they get checked out at one place and then they don't get put back in another place. And it's important for the crew to know how many times are they going to have to go pick up new the scooters and put them back in the places that they were before. So there's a ton of different information. And what we want to emphasize to the students is that you all get to choose what area you want to focus on. You don't have to answer one question. There's a ton of questions with these data sets, and you get to choose one of the questions that you're interested in focusing on. You could talk about, like Professor Heidenblad said, speed or time or something like that. It might be that you have enough time to focus on more than one. And then one of the reasons that we're giving you the two different sets is because if you are more advanced and you want to take on something more advanced, you might look at the scooter data set, because that's going to actually give you an opportunity to do some more advanced types of research. But if you have never done any type of data analysis, you saw the spreadsheet that had the dog tests on it, and you could almost eyeball from there and then learn how to put that into the software that we're going to talk about now. So it's really important to us that we offer a couple different choices for data sets so you can choose which ones are most interesting to you and also kind of on the level that you're at. So the day two, once we'll let you choose which data sets you want, we're going to talk about how you create a project plan for the week, because you only have a couple hours each day that you're going to be working on this. You don't have an infinite amount of time. So we need to help you figure out how are you going to get that done in this week time. And then we're going to learn how to use the data analysis software that we're supporting this summer, that's offered us an opportunity to offer it to the high school students, which is Tableau. And then we'll go over, if you're using Tableau, how do you conduct initial analysis in the Tableau? And then, like Professor Heidenblad said, there's additional information that you might want to look at. So for example, if you might want to see with the dogs, they have the breed there, but maybe some of the dogs that have longer hair end up attracting more ticks than the ones that have shorter hair. And so you could figure out how you go and look at a breed standard for what the length of the hair is, and is there a commonality in that, and how do you add that information to your data set. So we'll talk about how to go find more information. And then the campus activity that we're going to do that day is we're going to tour the student union and the bookstore, and we will give everybody a gift card for eating at any of the facilities that are in the student union. There's I think there's a McDonald's, and there's a Salad Works, and there's a couple other choices that you can and you can choose which one you want to eat at. And then we'll talk about how do you buy books when you're in college too. So I think we have a screen that shows, yep, and I will let Professor Heidenblad talk about this. This is what Tableau looks like.
Yeah, so one of the reasons why we chose Tableau is because it allows you to focus on trying to tell a story with data rather than having to worry about the details or specifics about learning a programming language or something like that. So it does have that capabilities, and so we can dive deeper if that's where you want to go. But at the surface level, what's really nice about Tableau is that it's web-based, so it runs on almost any computer that exists. So we don't have to worry about if you're bringing your own device, if it will support the technology. If you can access the web, it is supported by Tableau. So that's a nice feature here. And then the analysis is really performed by dragging and dropping the various labels for the columns into the axes. So the columns or rows, so that you can see the relationships between the data. And while this screen here is particularly boring because it's just a table, although tables tell us a lot of information really quickly, tables might not be the most exciting thing on the planet, but they're really useful. We can also go to other types of really advanced visualizations. So we can have different types of charts, we can do scatter plots, we can do all kinds of things, even including mapping data. So with the scooter data, if we want to see how the rides are actually happening on campus, we can see that with a map. And I think I have that in a later slide. But the real benefit of Tableau is that we can really talk about understanding data without having to worry about learning too complicated of a tool while we're doing that. So, yeah. Let's see.
Okay, cool. And Tableau is a wonderful tool. And as those of us that have a .edu email address, we actually can have Tableau for a year. But the web Tableau is something that we're going to be using because anybody that wants to be able to use Tableau can use the web Tableau. And they've given us special permission to use this for our classes. So we appreciate that. So the third day, we're going to talk about, once you started to look at your results, because you're going to kind of do that starting the second day, how do you turn it into a story? Because when you're presenting to the judges at the end of the week, you don't just want to say, here's what we found. You want to say, so we were looking at the data for the dogs and we were thinking about, why would it be that this is what we found? Why would it be that certain types of dogs have more Ehrlichia and less Lyme? And go through the story and how do you present that? And then what kind of visualizations are going to help you tell that story? And that's what we're going to talk about with Tableau. And then you're going to have a huge hunk of time to be working on your projects that day. And then the activities that we're going to do are going to be touring the dorms, and then we're going to be eating in a dining hall. So we'll have an opportunity to see what the dining hall looks like and go ahead and eat in the dining hall.
All right, so here's where the more exciting visualizations of Tableau come into play. One thing I failed to mention earlier is that Tableau is actually a really popular tool in industry, right? This isn't some, it's not a toy. It's not it's fully advanced and capable of doing things that business people are actually looking at. And this is a really powerful skill that is developed. So one of these charts is a bar chart, and while it's giving us a lot of information, we could also, if my colleagues from visualization were to look at it, they could give me critiques on why this might not be the most appropriate way to display this data. And so there's a lot that we can talk about in terms of these more simple graphs. And on the other side is the map of campus. And this is a heat map that's showing, I believe this is start location. So this is showing where rides on the scooters started and where you see the hot colors, so oranges and reds. That's where the most trips started. And for people who are familiar with campus, you can see that a lot of times that's where people park. It's also where people go to class. And then there's some off-campus locations. So some of these locations off campus are off-campus apartments. And so we can talk a little bit more about the campus and how students travel on it just by looking at this relatively simple visualization that gives us a ton of information.
Very true. And it's really cool how much Tableau has to offer. And that's one of the reasons that we choose it. And again, as Professor Heidenblad said, it's an industry standard. A lot of people are using that in their organizations these days. So the fourth day, what we're going to talk about is how do you present to the judges on Friday? Because it's kind of nerve-wracking to think that you've been working on your project all week, and then what are you going to do to present to these professional people? And I got to say, the judges don't come in being very judgy. What they really like to do is they really like to interact with the students, figure out what you did, how you did it, and then help you learn how to do it better for next time. So it's not like they're going to be serious judges and give you a score of, hold up a number of 5. They do have a rubric that they go through, and that's how we figure out who the winning teams are. that will get the awards, but they're really excited about interacting with students. And then we're going to do some mock judging sessions. So you'll get an opportunity to figure out how you're going to present. And again, this is both in the in-person and also in the virtual. Last year we did the virtual, and the judges came in and did a virtual session on that Friday, and it worked out great. So we're going to be doing mock presentations, whether you're in person or virtual. And then we're going to be, again, another huge hunk of time working on the projects, or pretty much finishing them up on Thursday. It seems like it's going to go really fast, but you're going to get each day, you're going to get lessons on, well, how do you move forward with the project? And then you're going to get an opportunity to work on the project based on what we talked about in the lessons. And then this day, we're going to actually tour the recreation center and the wellness center. So you can figure out if you're interested in going swimming, or if you're interested in working out of the gym, where is that on campus? And then if you get sick, because everybody gets sick, how do you get to the wellness center, and what kind of services do people offer on campus? And then I think there's just a picture of presenting to the judges. So you'll have a couple judges in the room. This was from the one that we did in February, just a couple months ago, that was the higher education, that included the University of Maryland, the Naval Academy, University of Maryland, Baltimore County, UMBC, and also Montgomery College. And so the students were presenting just to 2 judges, and because of COVID, we just only allowed these people in the room. Normally, and hopefully we'll get to do this in a few years, or maybe even next year, we usually invite people to come in and see what the presentations are. So go ahead and next slide. So the last day, you're going to be presenting the judges in the morning, whether you are virtual or in person. And then we'll all have lunch. And again, we're going to be sending lunch to those of you that are able to get to the libraries in the remote locations. And then if you are in person, right after lunch, you're going to have a showcase. So we'll show you a slide in a second of what it looks like, but we're going to invite all your friends and all your family, and you're going to be able to present your projects to them at the student union. It's a really fun, we do this every year with the higher academic institutions, and it's really fun. So we invite friends and family and people that are interested in data. And there's a lot of people that are really excited about this camp. And so they want to come and see what it looks like to have the high school students present this year. And it's very casual. It's not stressful at all. It's really kind of fun. And then if you're virtual during that time, we haven't really figured out how to do a showcase virtually. We tried to think about how to do it this year. It just wasn't going to work. So what we've done is we've asked people that are information professionals to give a panel discussion. And I'll show you a little clip from one that's coming up from last year. And it's just 5 people that are going to be talking about how they use information as an information professional. So you get an idea of what you might want to do after you get a degree, whether you are information, get your degree in information studies or get your degree in something else. Everybody has data. And you'll learn from the panelists that not everybody has an information degree, but they work on information at all times. And then both in person and virtual, we're going to have an award ceremony. And everybody's invited. If you are on campus during the in-person one, we will have, again, lots of people that will be there. We'll invite everyone. The provost is coming to give a talk. If we're for the virtual, it's going to be shown live on YouTube. So you can invite any one of your friends and family to come to just watch it on YouTube. All right, and go to the next slide for me. So this is what the showcase looks like. So everybody's going to have, every team is going to have a table, and you're going to have a computer, and the judges are going to be walking around. You can see a couple of the judges in this. I'm sorry, this is not the judging session. That you'll see that people are just walking around and they're just showing all of the information to the students are showing all the information to the guests. And everybody is just really interested in how did you interpret that data set? And that's why it's so wonderful that there's not just one question for each of these data sets, because it might be that one group, again, focuses on long-haired dogs, and it might be that one group focuses on zip codes. It might be that one focuses on small dogs as opposed to large dogs. So there's different ways that you can answer these questions, and people that are coming to this showcase event want to hear all the different ways that you guys were looking at this information. I'll go to the next slide. Right, so this is a little clip from the from our provost last year that gave a talk to welcome, and she says some really wonderful things about how important data is. So go ahead and play that if you can.
Yeah, hopefully this
past week. But I'm grateful that we've been able to develop platforms and the capacity to use them so that we can work and learn together remotely. This camp focused on data analysis to address real world challenges. It's close to home for me. My own career as a researcher in the field of education policy has involved analyzing large national data sets, primarily from the U.S. Department of Education, to understand issues related to teacher quality, educational resources, and student learning outcomes, with the ultimate goal of producing more effective and equitable K-12 education systems. Your work this week using data from the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, the U.S. Department of Agriculture, the University of Maryland Department of Transportation, and the National Center for Smart Growth equips you to address important questions that can advance more efficient, effective, and equitable public policy in those arenas as well.
All right, so again, Provost Rice is very excited that we're going to be doing this again this year, and she's going to be coming to give the welcome for us. And so what happens during the award ceremony is that our dean gives a little introduction. The provost, and both actually in person and virtual, will be giving the welcome. And then we go through the award ceremony. So one of our professors, Professor Jennifer Goldbeck, she is pretty famous. She's got lots of golden retrievers, and she's got a lot of knowledge about social media, and she's all over the place in terms of helping people understand social media and people understanding what is true and what is not true. And so we invited her to be the MC for the award ceremony. So this is just a quick idea of what the award ceremony is going to look like. This is from last year.
I'm really glad to see all of you coming in and working in the information space, and I'm honored to be the one presenting the awards today. So we have 3 awards: Best Results in Visualization, Best Presentation, and Best Overall Project. And we're going to start with Best Results and Visualization. The winner for Best Results in Visualization is Team 1. I'd like you all to briefly introduce yourselves, and then you're going to have a couple minutes to give us an overview of your project. So there's 4 of you. Could you each just kind of say your name? And I think you've all been talking to each other this week, but say hi and identify yourselves.
Hi, my name is Susan, and I was the research manager.
Hi, my name is Sarika, and I was the team lead.
Hello, my name is Trigod, and I was the design lead.
Hello, my name is Jalal, and I am the writing lead.
So congratulations to the 4 of you. Which of you is going to give us a quick couple-minute overview of your project?
I can.
Great, thanks, Susan.
Would you like me to share my screen, or should I just read it?
Yeah, if you can share, that would be great. But you don't have to. You're welcome to present however you like.
Okay, I'll share it. So our presentation was about the VioRide and e-scooters. And to give you guys a summary of what we did, we identified the fact that the scooters were used the most at night. Then we recommended that an addition of emergency button on the handle would help prevent riders, and then it would also prevent riders from having to access their phones in an emergency. We also talked about the popularity of e-scooters and how the popularity is actually increasing because it's going to have a large impact on the transportation industry as it grows, and people are tending to ride bikes less and scooters more. And we also talked about how the weather is going to impact the scooters, and we recommend that the scooters should be made waterproof to protect them from the elements such as rain. And lastly, we talk about the environmental impact and that VioRide actually sets standards for the industry, in that the swappable battery system, the shorter pickup and drop off routes, and the shorter pickup and drop off routes are why we feel as though VioRide is leading in the industry. And we recommend that they invest in smaller towns in cities. Thank you.
That's great. Thank you so much. So I'd like to kind of give a question to each team at the end of the awards. And so, Susan, it doesn't have to be you, but anyone on your team. What's the most surprising thing you learned in like going through all of this data and making these visualizations, getting your results? Does anyone have a thing that stood out to them?
For me, I would say probably the programs that we used, like GIS, I think that's how you say it. I never have ever heard of something like that before. So I think we used that to create one of the graphs, and that was probably tasking for me, but it was probably a really good like source to use. So I would say I was probably like the best, because I've never ever heard of it before. So
yeah, that's awesome. I mean, it's some of the best things about doing these kinds of projects is you're kind of forced to learn like those new things that you didn't know about. And then it's like, it opens up like all these possible things that you can do with it.
Yeah.
Well, congratulations to all of you. Really nice work on your project. So that was team one, the winner for best results in visualization. Congratulations.
So that was just a quick summary of how it's going to look to be part of the presentation.
Glad to see all of you.
And we're going to have a different MC this year. The MC is going to be Dr. Tammy Clegg. She is the director of the design program that we have as an undergrad program at the College of Information Studies. So then, like I said, we're going to have an information panel on the week after, the second week. So for those of you that are participating in the first week, you can actually watch the second week online, because this is going to be all projected on YouTube. And this is another quick view of the information panel from last year.
This question is for Dr.
So we actually did the panel, which you can watch, and then we
said that you
will ask questions at the
an
end.
attorney originally, and as we all know, being an attorney takes a lot of time, a lot of schooling. And what I'm trying to ask is, how do you venture off to different parts of being an attorney? Because I'm a little worried, since we have a lot of pressure at this age to pick something that we have to do for the rest of our lives. And it's like, how do you find the courage to choose to do something else?
So that's a great question. And I'll say that when I first kind of made the decision to change careers, it was really nerve-wracking for exactly the reasons that you just described. I had invested a lot of time and a lot of money and a lot of energy into being a lawyer, and to turn around and say, I want to use my law degree, but in a way differently than I envisioned. And for me, it was a little bit of a leap of faith, I think. And, I think I said at the beginning, like, I'm able to see now how it all connected, but I didn't necessarily see that when I was going through it. But I also.
All right, so everybody on the panel we'll talk a little bit, and then we'll give students an opportunity to ask questions at the end. So just to wrap up a little bit, so what do we want you to get out of the summer camp? We want you to be able to, as campers, have the ability to be creative as you want, in a low pressure environment. Really, truly, this is not a huge pressure thing. We will have teams that will get awards, but it's not like you are competing for, strongly against each other. You're just trying to figure out how to work together as a team and answer these questions. And then you get the opportunity to learn about potential academic and career paths. Again, we'll have the panel discussion. We'll also have people that will come in and talk with us and advisors and people like that during the week that will come in and talk with us and tell the students how it is to be on campus. And you'll get to have an opportunity to go tour around campus. You'll get to have, an opportunity to eat in a dining hall. We'll order pizza one day. We'll have lunch catered one day. And then for those of you that are going to be in the remote camp, what we'll do is we'll again show all of this in a video that we will be recording the first week. And then the second week during the virtual, we'll have lunch delivered to the library so you all can have lunch together and chat. And then if you can't be at the library, you're welcome to sign in from your home. We encourage people to share with everyone because we'd like to have a large group of students this year. We would like to have 50 at each camp. So, so we have some, I think the next slide shows the links. Yes. So if you go to the website, which I don't know if Professor Heidenblad, if you have that up, you can click on that and it takes you to the website. And this gives you a little bit about the analysis camp, the data analysis camp. It tells you an example of the daily schedule. There's a session 1 in person that tells you the dates and the times and who gets invited to that. Session 2, the virtual one, the dates and the times and who gets invited to that one. And then at the bottom, there's 2 different links. So click on the link that you're in the county for, whether it's you're an in-person or a virtual session, and it'll take you to a form you have to fill out. And we have to have, we ask you questions on it, like your name and your zip code. So we want to make sure that you are in the right area. And then we need your parents' names and email addresses. So this is just a way for you to apply for the camp. And if we have over 50 people applying for each camp, then we'll let you know. We've extended the application deadline to June 1st, and then we will let you know by the following Monday or Tuesday. I think it's June 6th or 7th. I forget those dates. And we will let you know if you've been accepted or not, so you can make the plan to be there. So are there any questions? Look like it. All right, we're going to go ahead and I think take down the slides. And if you have, we'll stay on for another minute or two in case anybody has any questions. But there is an email address at the end that you're welcome to access. And it's also on the website, so you can send us an email if you have any questions. We'll get back to you within a day or two. There's a team of us that answer that email address, and we'll be glad to talk about what the camp is, how it will benefit you. How do you get to campus, things like that? How do you log on if you're going to be a virtual person for the week? So we would love to, and again, invite as many people as possible. We're hoping to get 50 students for each camp, and let us know if you have any questions.